LGD going to be on that blue side once more as the highest seed in the series. They get side selection for the first 3 games of the series. And they are going to start things off grabbing this Ashe for Kramer once more. WE immediately, they're just going to rinse and repeat. Get this Renekton and Graves.
This is the exact same as game 2. Same band, same picks. We can just have ourselves go over towards the Kindred and the Ornn once again here if they really want to. Peanut, we get us going over the Lily again. But will, I'm assuming, swap over. Unless this is the game where they want to bring it out.
I mean, they're going to be feeling confident, right? They're 2-0 up. They've got 3 games left. But if I'm LGD right now, I want to play as serious as possible. But let's be honest, we've seen some Lilia. And there are teams that are certainly playing it in a serious manner. So if we do see a Lilia jungle, I'll be curious to see what they can do with it coming into playoffs. Orianna going to be locked in blind here in the mid lane for Shia.
And there is an argument when it comes towards LGD about what you want to show here. Because obviously you're in playoffs, you want to show as little as possible to not give your opponents, hey look,
especially
these are all the different styles, exactly what we can play. So maybe Peanut is just saying, hey look, I've got this Lily in my pocket pick, I don't actually want to bring her out just yet. But we are going to see LGD go back to the standard here with the Ornn coming in for Launching. Got Xie going towards another lane bully for himself in the Orianna. And I don't really know what Teacher Mac can go for here. I mean, maybe you go back towards the Syndra, but even then, that's not the best of matchups for you in the mid lane.
So the Ezreal going to be locked in, which means things like the Karma in the mid lane that we've seen so much from WE are going to be something that maybe LGD can just ban away in this second phase. Could go for double mid lane bans here as WE starting to look towards Kalua, getting rid of that Tahm Kench.
It's super interesting to see the high priority we still have on this Ashe though, because even though we saw the Rangers focus getting nerfed, so you did lose a bit of attack speed off of that Q, it's still super high priority because the lane pressure that you can get from this long range ultimate is working so well. And when you've got so much damage that can come through from both your jungler and the mid laner, there's no need to really worry too much about that attack speed nerf to the Ashe.
So the Thresh going to be banned away alongside that Tahm Kench. We'll see if LGD are going to focus in on towards Teachermar here. They have been going for a couple of support bans as well across the course of this series, so maybe something towards missing. And it's going to be this Karma, which I guess kind of covers both, right?
Well, this is the thing, especially when you've got the Graves and the Ezreal, the Karma has been the go-to for Teacherma. You get definitive control of that mid lane with the push power that Karma has, and then you can start to look for him being able to support Beishang, being able to support Jomung, but not going to be on the cards this time around. Instead, we'll more than likely see something locked in for WE here for Teacherma on the mid lane, especially when you know you're up against the Orianna, and leaving that support counter.
Okay. Possibly. The Syndra available still, so you'd anticipate maybe the Syndra going to the mid lane once again. As Missing going to go with this Braum, and partly this is just to deny Killua, right? Because we know Killua knows the Tahm Kench, he knows the Braum, and those are very much his strongest picks. It does mean that maybe they can push him on something he's less comfortable with, but a Lulu locked in alongside Kramer's Ashe here in the bottom lane.
And this is now something that you're really going to struggle with for Jomung and Missing. You've got the volley that's going to push in the lane super hard. You've now got Lulu who's going to do wonders for pushing in this lane. So you're already having a losing bot lane, and now you're going to pair that with, again, this Kindred for Peanut. It is not looking too hot for WE. Okay, though. Teacherma is going to bring out another unique pick. Now, Munch, if you cast your mind back to last night, we were looking at some of the picks that have been played by the pros in solo queue. Azir was one for Teacherma, but one of the few games we saw from him was like 0-5. So I'm not sure how this Azir is going to work, but it's his first time playing it, and it works very well in this style of composition where you want to try and keep the likes of LGD at bay. You've got super strong team fight. This needs to be the pick to bring out in this game number 3.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold one solo queue game as his expectation for Azir here. I'm excited to see what Teacherma can do in this mid lane, because the Syndra was open, so if they didn't have confidence in this pick, they would not have gone for it. Teacherma showing that his champion pool is getting deeper once more against Xie. Xie has had 100% control of this mid lane matchup across the course of this series, and this is Teacherma's last chance to prove it. If it goes wrong, they're out of the series.
The problem for Icy, though, is especially with the way that Longxing has been able to control this top lane in this matchup specifically, you now have 3 lanes that are winning. even though you shouldn't technically be winning Slongshing in that top lane, that makes me a little bit nervous, where maybe you just have Peanut with the control he has from his laners taking over this game.
You see Killua is having a whale of a time on the stage, giggling away as we head towards game number 3 here. It's Xie against his old squad, and Teachama is struggling to prove himself as the replacement in the mid lane. It's time for game number 3, WE against LGD. LGD were the highest seed coming into this series. They have been blue side every single time, and they have been putting their foot down on this series. WE backs against the ropes now. Have to show us something magical with this Azir pick from Teachama as he tries to prove his worth in this mid lane as one of the most criticized players of our entire league.
And he's going to be trying to prove it with that rune as well. So he's gone for the Arcane Comet. He has gone for a lane-focused Azir build. He's going to be looking to try and combat against Xie, prove his worth in this mid lane matchup. But it does mean that when we get to those later game fights, if Teachama hasn't been able to solidify advantage with this rune, it's not going to work out for him, where the Lethal Temple would actually just be a far better rune.
And when we look towards the top side of the map as well, we got to see a better performance out of Morgan, because it has been a rough series. It was a rough end to the split as well. This Renekton should not be losing out in damage to an Ornn during the early game. And hey, Morgan's got himself a good trade to start this game off at very least.
Got the Conqueror there as well, so getting a nice bit of burst damage down. Now, we didn't get to see a huge amount of these trades in the early stages, but from what I could see from Morgan, he wasn't exactly using his Fury particularly well, but already Peanut.
Peanut with a level 2 gank in the mid lane. Teachama forced to flash, but Peanut's going to follow this one. Has his Q, gets the auto reset. The red buff is ticking away, but the pot is just about it. Teachama seems to get away with it every single time.
This is the 4th time in this series. I don't know what he did. I don't know who he prayed to. Look, I don't know what voodoo magic he's
All
worked.
I'm saying is, PP God was on the screen while that happened. Xie's in trouble now as Beisheng looks to answer. Xie surely going to have to flash out of the play. What? Beisheng didn't go for the auto. I think he cancelled his auto.
He needed to be careful. If he went for the flash forward, there were the minions there that would end up blocking successive auto attacks, so he needed to be a little bit careful. But Xie does a good job of holding on to his flash, and now you can have Peanut once again come in towards his mid lane, especially as Xie starts to get a couple of levels into this man dissonance. The slows are going to be so difficult for Teachama to do.
Interesting to see phase rush out of Killua in the bottom lane on the Lulu support. Not something that I would typically expect, but then I wasn't typically expecting Killua here at all today. So I guess today is full of surprises for us. I have to say, though, I'm impressed by Xie in that mid lane holding on to that flash. That took a lot of bravery to be able to hold on that long. Beisheng now looking to make some invades happen. Actually, no. He's looking to make a gank happen.
Yeah, and this is a good shout. This is where you have Kramer and Killua not quite able to crash this third wave, and now they're going to get caught out. That's
going to be heal used immediately. Killua the target as he's stunned up. Beisheng will be able to get some damage down. They want to give this over to Jomung. First blood for WE. A good start to game 3.
And this is what WE do, is play through this bottom side, get Jomung set up. This is the first time we've really seen it, but nice call from Beisheng to get down there. Kramer and Killua weren't able to crash that third wave into the tower. Jomung and Missing able to freeze, and it means that you have the opportunity for Beisheng to get in and get aggressive.
Morgan doing a bit of a better job in the early game here in this matchup, not getting bullied out of lane quite in the same way that he was before. Peanut has moved up to the top side, but with his flash available, I don't think Morgan is going to be feeling too worried about any kind of dive shenanigans just yet in the game, as Beisheng took control of that bottom side of the map, got himself that Scuttler, and now moves into the mid lane. Xie takes a chunk of damage, but the phase rush means that he can get out pretty safe.
Beisheng would just kind of show his face there as he transitions back towards his top side. Peanut, though, is sitting around here, trying to go for a sneaky turnaround gank.
Yeah, Morgan gets knocked up here. Might have to use the flash. I don't know if Slice and Dice is available. Gets the Slice. Dice won't come through because he didn't hit an enemy, but he's going to be all right. Gets out of the play.
Both these junglers getting super active, though. When I look at WE though, Beishang definitely getting towards the lane that's much more favorable to get ahead in Jomong, and also actually having a bit more success. Now missing onto Killua once again.
Killua's only level 3, has to flash away. There's the stun coming in though, and Jomong is going to be able to finish the kill, missing the one with the killing blow. As Kramer forced back underneath his tower. That's 2 kills already for the WE bot lane.
And they can now look to solidify this advantage as well. They're the ones that are pushing in. They can stop Kramer and Killua, who the whole game plan here from this Ashe Lulu is to shove in aggressively, start to get chip damage onto these turrets, pick up some of the plates, and then hit the mid-game in your stride. With Jomong and Missy now controlling this bottom lane, it's looking fantastic for this WE bot side. And Teacher Ma, he's in full control in this mid lane as well.
He is a little bit down in CS, but as you can see, Xie having to go back to base. So should be able to regain some of that. And it's important that WE get this good early game going for themselves. When we talk about this team, it's the dragon fights that they really excel at. The first dragon on the map. And this is the team with the highest first dragon rate of any team in the LPL.
Xie came back to lane, but he's got no mana. So realistically, Teacher Ma, with this push, can back himself, get into a better mana pool situation, and then again push forward aggressively.
Teacher Ma going to go for the Emperor's Divide here. Does have his flash available, dashes back out of the play as Xie goes down. Beishang's here as well to try and find more off the back of things as Killua will zoom away with his phase rush, which I don't know why he's got phase rush, but now Dragon.
WE have woken up. Finally, we're getting to see them in this series. 2 kills now for Jomong in the bottom lane. A kill as well going over towards Missing.
Yeah.
But they're getting these dragons. They're getting themselves a gold lead. And this is looking far better.
I'm not going to get too excited just yet, Doctor. I'm going to keep it in because they got a lead in game 2. They got ahead in game 2. It all ran away.
I want to go back to one of the questions you've asked a couple of times, though, for Killua and this phase rush. I think the actual thing that we're looking at is the phase rush is obviously great because you can start to get a little bit of damage on towards Morgan. He's going to be trying to chase you down. You're super squishy. Creating that distance is fantastic. But he has also opted in towards the celerity and the water walking. So I think more so what they're hoping to do was have Killua impact in this mid lane, roam a lot more, and see if he can win out this early stage for LGD. However, because of that early gank from Beishang, because you had the lost control for LGD in this bottom lane, he hasn't quite got to enact that game plan yet.
I mean, what I'm seeing so far from Killua here on the Lulu is the fact that he's not playing Braum, he's not playing Tahm Kench, and he is struggling. 0-2-0 to start this game off. And a good start here, game 3 for WE. And we'll see if they can keep the ball rolling. 1,500 gold lead. They got themselves that first Drake. And Herald going to be spawning in 30 seconds. Beishang on the top side of the map, ready to try and grab that objective.
And I think that's where I need to see WE continuing these advantages. Morgan having a much better time in this top lane.
Nice Kramer. The side steps on everything coming out from Jomong. A little bit of a trade back at the very end of things, but Missing losing half of his health.
That's the trading power of Killua and Kramer when they have an advantage, or at least they can push an advantage in this bottom lane. But I want to see Beishang instead moving towards his top side. With Misher and Isma doing a great job at GA, they can shove in, support him towards this Rift Child, and then continue this snowball. However, though, he has moved down towards this bottom side and may end up trying to play a little bit of a safer game, stealing away the likes of this Romp to make sure that Kindred can't actually get in and start to rack up a few of those marks.
Beishang going to move over to blue buff, play this one out alongside Teacher Ma. And I've not seen quite how many stacks Peanut is on just yet this game. I know he got 1 Scuttle Crab, so he's on a very least 1 for now. But it's important to watch Beishang on whether he focuses on towards the camps that do have those Kindred marks over them.
Again, though, we got to look towards this Rift. Already you can see the movements coming through with WE fully committing here towards this Rift Herald. And in a full 5v5 right now, I prefer LGD. I think they've got better damage coming out from their AD carry. Xie can have better CC chains working in conjunction with Longxing towards this. And Peanut is going to do a lot of work as well in comparison to, say, Teacher Ma. So you have the opportunity as LGD to fight for this, and it looks like that's going to be the call.
I do think, in theory, they got more damage out of the AD carry, but since Jomong is so far ahead, he already has a Mana Moon, whereas it's just a Vamp Scepter coming out for Kramer as well as those boots. But they do have 2 AD carries, because Peanut's there as well. Contest comes through from LGD here, and they have Longxing on the Ornn to set a play up if they want it. Longxing moves in, Peanut's going to be here to grab the smite. No, it didn't go his way. Beishang got it in the end. Morgan now jumping into the fray. Beishang just about gets away with his life. Morgan forces the Lamb's Respite. He's going to benefit from that one as well. Knock up from Longxing. Morgan will go down. at the cost of this play. Teacherman now the target, slowed by Kramer, who's trying to extend the play. Slowed himself, though, as Misting gets out his Winter's Bite. Looks like WE get away with things. They got the smite on the Herald, and it was Morgan that grabbed the eye.
Morgan, as he went in for that play, managed to pick it up. So they do get the Herald in the end. The kill goes over towards LGD side onto Longxing. So not the best of recipients, but still, Peanut will manage to get in, invade some of these camps, and just about get a mark for himself there.
Peanut just about get away with this one, nearly dying to the chickens. Beisheng arriving at the last second, but can't get close in on the play. So WE are finding themselves some advantages here, Dagda, and they do lose out on the fight in the end, but Beisheng got that with an auto.
And this is where LGD are going to be strongest. Again, great ult from Xie to start things off with a 3-man shockwave. However, this is where it gets a little bit dicey. Morgan is so strong at the moment where you can see how much pressure he's able to take on for himself, how much attention he gets from the LGD side. And even though you see low health bars in the WE lineup, nobody from LGD is actually able to solidify or CC them long enough for the rest of LGD to catch up.
So we do have a CS lead in the top lane in favor of Morgan right now, and a similar CS lead for Beisheng as well. The jungler and the top laner looking pretty good so far in that bottom lane as well. While the CS lead isn't that impressive, Jomung 2 kills up already. Has his tier 2 boots now as well. So that CDR really going to impact the amount of damage he's able to put out in fights.
I want to look at how both these teams are going to scale though. As I may actually not get a chance, but definitely at the moment, LGD will be in a great shape. When we get to the super late game, LGD will look strong again. But WE need to find more fights around this 20 to 25 minute mark where Jomung is really strong, where you got Teacherma finally getting his 2 items. I think right now, fighting for all these objectives is a little bit dicey.
Morgan going to be behind enemy lines here. Longxing looking for a way into the play. Dragon getting low. Peanut and Beisheng both going to be here. It's a smite fight. Beisheng wins it as Peanut stuck over the wall here. Wild Growth is missing, gets a knock-up onto 3. Here comes the Orn Horn, though. And people from WE getting pretty low. Longxing the first one to go down, but they might just be able to clean up. Kramer trying to chase this one through. Morgan happy to tank Jomung with a True Shot Barrage, but it goes wide as Kramer can keep this one going. The sidesteps dodging everything, and that's going to be a kill for Kramer on the Ashe.
Kramer's looking so good with Killua, speeding up, getting those extra auto attacks. And when you get that Ardent Sensor completed for Killua, it's only going to get so much worse. But here we go, Jomung. You need to get out of there.
Here's Ezreal, so he's going to be all right. Manages to get out of the play. There's going to be a couple of plates at very least in favor of LGD.
And this is the problem that we're talking about, is that WE, although they are getting these dragons, they are giving a lot of gold back over towards LGD. Turret plate mid, turret plate bot side, and although we're even at the moment, this is where LGD are strongest. Because right now, Peanut offers so much when it comes towards that ultimate. You've got a heap of CC that can come through for every member on this team right now, and it overall gives LGD the advantages in these fights. And when you get towards that 2 to 3 items, this will swing in favor of WE for a while until the uber late game scaling comes in from Ornn and the double AD carries and all that mess will come through for LGD. But WE need to take a step. They don't want to be giving this gold over towards LGD when they were so heavily in control of this early game.
So now WE moving to the top side of the map here. Try and grab themselves the first tower of the game. Going to find themselves one plate. Herald charges in. It's going to be a second one doubling up here. Morgan and Beisheng, the ones to grab the gold off the back of that one. They get it just in time before these turret plates time out. They're not going to be able to finish the tower off, but they managed to maintain at least a good chunk of that gold lead, but it has diminished somewhat from early.
And even though you do have the top lane turret now low, it's going to be a while before WE can kind of impact that top lane enough where that is going to bring a significant advantage. Again, probably would have preferred to see this using the mid lane, get those turret plates, give them over towards Jomung and even Teacherma. Like, Morgan is not going to be the one that massively impacts this. And although Beisheng is in a decent spot now and has a massive CS lead over Peanut, getting that split gold over towards Morgan just isn't the best call for WE.
Not for now, at very least. But when we take a look at the items across the board here, you can see WE. Well, you can't see anything anymore because we're looking at turret plates, ladies and gentlemen. 3 plates going the way of WE, and it's just 1 on the side of LGD. But when the items come back, you can see Jomung grabbed himself a Sheen. He's getting towards that second item, which is when we often see Ezreal start to be able to fight a little bit better. It's going to be important to mention that Kramer is going to need those 2 items as well to really impact the game. Teachama heading towards that Nash's Tooth to start things off.
I'm looking at where both teams are positioned in the map, though, because you can see Shia, he's moved up towards this top side to clear out the top wave and also keep that turret safe. You've got the double TP users of Teacher Ma, who has his available, and also launching in this bottom lane. I would much prefer if Teacher Ma was with the team at the start of these fights, though, because if you manage to get a lot of poke off, well, I was going to say it can work pretty well, but Jomung's got a decent answer here as well with 3 kills of his own so far in this game.
Good damage coming out from Jomung. And we have to remember that we're in game number 3 here. WE very much with their backs against the wall, but this is where the magic usually comes out, right? When a team is 2-0 down, this is where the true highlight moments of a tournament come on through. Peanut taking a hit there from Jomung as the Herald is going to reset, but it's WE that are in position to try and force this one. Teachama's on the bottom side of the map, but he does have TP available.
WE are going to start this up, though, and Langxing needs to be the one that TPs first, because you want this Call of the Forge God to try and push WE back, but with the pressure Teachama is putting on this bottom side, Langxing may not be able to, and looks like WE will be able to secure this Rift Herald for themselves. And we already saw how low that top lane turret is. Morgan can go and secure that. They can now turn this extra Herald into more of these turrets towards mid.
And importantly, the next Drake is spawning in 30 seconds, Dagda. It's going to be an Ocean Drake. WE already with those 2 Drakes in their pocket. This is incredibly important for WE to grab this one. Should they get this 3rd Drake, WE are actually poised in a fantastic position to snowball this into a win.
There's a couple of things that suck here for WE, though. Jomung only just completing the culling off this wave means he needs to back now to finish off that Iceborne Gauntlet. So although he does have the TP, you won't be in a position as WE now to actually go and try and take over this river. Although as we say that, this is the problem that we've had with LGD. A little bit slow on their resets, not able to get it in here fast enough. And although they could have been already on this dragon, they've given the opportunity now for that back to come in for Jomung, him to TP in, and LGD haven't quite got that tempo advantage in their favor.
It's the power having the TP on that AD carry, and the Braum pick allows that. You don't need to go for the heal on Jomung. He can go for the TP himself. Now LGD setting up to try and go for this dragon themselves. WE, they don't have a ton of hard engage on this squad, it has to be said. Now they have to find a creative way into this fight. Jomung takes a huge chunk to start us off.
Nice damage from Xie with that Lucan's Echo completed. As there's the True Shot Barrage.
Redemption going to come in fairly early here just to keep Jomung topped up and safe here. Is WE going to try and pull this dragon back to their side of the pit? Morgan looking for a flank, looking for a way, and he has his flash available, so keep your eyes on the Croc. This could be the redemption play for Morgan if he's able to get in. Arrow goes wide. Call of the Forge God here, but Missing is able to block it. Knock up across the team as the dragon goes in. In goes Morgan. Down goes everyone to the Emperor's Divide. And Jomung should be able to clean this up, but the health bar's getting low for WE. Flash from Morgan for the double kill. This is the play we were looking for. And now Xie, last man standing, trying to take it on, trying to go against the world. Gets 2, but he's taken down for the triple on the Crop.
And WE managed to bring it back. The dragon that has been their downfall in Game 1 and Game 2 now rises them up as they will get that kill. They'll get the dragon, and now they can also crack open this mid lane turret thanks to that Rift Herald.
And these are the dragon fights that we know WE for. This is where they're meant to be at their strongest, and they show us it finally in game number 3.
And a great flank from Morgan to kick things off.
What?
I didn't see what happened there.
It just... they're robbed!
I didn't charge.
They've been robbed!
Oh no.
It charged, it just didn't do any damage. What did I just watch?
I don't know. Either way, let's focus on the positives for WE, where when we look at Morgan, he was able to get this fantastic flank position. Great ward there that was placed earlier. As LGD were coming in, they didn't quite catch that one. That was Beishang's ward that was placed at the back of the pit. And meant that Morgan was able to sneak in here perfectly. That ult going wide from Kramer means that Missing gets into a great spot to stop the Call of the Forge God. And then Morgan here is fantastically positioned. Kramer does manage to get the flash away, but Teacher Ma gets him a great shove back with that Emperor's Divide. And from this point forward, WE are just cleaning the house. Jomung getting in aggressively, flashing forward as well. WE smelled blood in the water, and they wanted to finish this.
And fair play to Xie, he managed to grab himself 2 kills across the course of that fight as well. And you can see him topping the damage. His shockwave was fantastic. Xie is determined to win this series, and now Morgan is going to find himself in a 2v3, but Redemption coming on through. Beishang flashes over the wall. Morgan finds himself alone. The Q keeps him alive, and he's got a stopwatch as well. Peanut nearly goes down. Shockwave is there, though. An LGD punish. Now an arrow comes in from the side, so Missing will go down too. And there's not even an objective to fight over.
It's the TP shenanigans we were talking about, Munch. Xie comes in with that teleport. We got Kramer from downtown with the arrow. And this is what we talked about for LGD. When there's nothing on the map where you think, right, we're going to go into a lull, that's when LGD pounce on that lack of awareness. WE fall prey to it, but they are trying to answer on this top side, seeing if they can get this blue buff, maybe pushing this wave, but LGD are once again responding, although Peanut kind of low.
Yeah, and Jomung is big. 6-1 and 2 on the Ezreal. I mentioned the 2 items earlier. He's already halfway towards his death dance already. When you compare him against Kramer right now, Jomung is firing nukes, whereas Kramer, he's just firing arrows, to put it in the words that we did there. And the question is, does WE throw at Baron again, Dagda?
God, don't say that. This is your team. This is the team that you want to win, but you're going to see actually Jomung adding that 6th one here as Killua hasn't been having the best of games so far in this Lulu. Bit too squishy, and he's been caught out a bit too far forward in multiple scenarios now. But minute 40 until this Dragon, this is where we need to start seeing the resets coming through from LGD. Finishing off that Runaan's Hurricane for Kramer. Getting Peanut up towards at least the Kindle Gem, it looks like, or maybe even full Black Cleaver as he goes to the back now. These are where these crucial items are starting to be finished on the side of LGD, and that 2-item spike is where LGD are strongest, whereas when we get post 25 minutes, we'll start to see those higher tiered items coming in from Teacher Ma and also Jomung finishing off this death stance.
Lua is real squishy. That True Shot Barrage doing a huge amount of work as Morgan gets himself some free time to hammer away at the tower on the bottom side. Is not going to go for the Blade of the Rune King, so not exactly a split push for Necton here. And with Peanut showing on the bottom side, he's going to back away from the tower itself. But Drake is coming up in 50 seconds here, Dagda. This would be Ocean Soul for WE.
LGD really want to have Longxing with them, though, for when these fights kick off. Now, he is shoving in this top lane, should be able to teleport, but
hang on, Peanut. This is not the moment to die, my friend. We've got an Ocean Soul on the line. Peanut having to use the Lamb's Respite incredibly early. Beishang misses the ult, though. He dodges everything. How did he survive this one? Jomung now jumps to the back of the red buff, but he might get himself stuck. Flashes over the wall. This is the rest of WE getting taken down here. 2 kills go the way of LGD. The ult goes wide. And WE, not like this.
It's one mistake from Beishang going too far forward. He sees the kill, he sees the play that secures this victory for WE, but instead it gets tossed to the wayside, not quite able to finish off Peanut, and now LGD will get their first Dragon of the game.
And we talked right at the start of the day about the veteran disparity between these two teams. LGD is a squad of players that have been to Worlds, that have been on the big stage, that have been in high pressure situations time and time again. It's not the same case for WE, and it feels to me like in these high pressure situations, they're starting to really struggle.
And it's how quickly LGD react. We saw Longxing instantly get that teleport coming in, which is why they call it the Forge God comes in. So as this play kicks off, you have Peanut going super low. TP comes in as that Lamb's Respite's coming down, and LGD reacts so well. And if you just about manage to finish off that kill as Beishang, maybe this ends up worth. But unfortunately for them, LGD collapse too quickly. Again, Xie with these fantastic shockwaves to set everything up. And WE find themselves in the business end of the damage brunt from LGD.
And Beishang, like, he queued just a tiny bit too early before the Lamb's Respite went down, and then he ults trying to predict the path, but Peanut with a nice little dodge, then dodges back again so that Jomung misses his Q. It has to be said, despite getting caught out, Peanut actually played that excellently when it comes to the mechanics. And Xie, as you just saw on your screen, has grabbed himself a Mejai's Soul Steal.
Now though, WE have an opportunity to play the map. Teacher Ma has his teleport, Morgan has his as well. Xie's will be up momentarily, but if WE want to start getting control of these side lanes, trying to use tempo in their favor, this is where they can do so. You can already see Morgan's down on this bottom side of the map. WE can look to try and make plays in this top side jungle and have Morgan TP to it.
TP advantage is the name of the game here.
They're starting up to Baron, actually. They're already on it.
They do have an Azir. They can do it straight over the wall. LGD have spotted it out, though, so Missing and Beisheng move away from the play in the end. They've got some honey fruit to keep themselves healthy, though. They can just repeatedly threaten this one with Morgan on the bottom side of the map. But Morgan did recall, so they're going to reset on this one. Kramer forced to flash here. Jomong is nowhere near the play. And Missing jumps out to safety, but can he survive the ignite? It's going to be Peanut that grabs the kill in the end. Langxing now getting a knock-up onto Jomong. Oh my goodness, it's all gone wrong here. Peanut now going to be able to survive. LGD, they want this one in 3. Langxing stepping forward with Wild Growth on him. Wants to extend the play by the looks of things. Kahlua is going to be alongside him. Kramer can keep going all day long.
WE just keep biting off more than they can chew. Now LGD with the comeback started. Will crack open this mid lane turret. You can already see Peanuts down on this bottom side clearing out the jungle for Beisheng as well, trying to get themselves back into a favorable matchup for this jungle. LGD are non-stop turning WE back.
And it feels like this is WE setting up plays that are going wrong for them time and time again, Dan.
But this is the thing. This isn't actually a bad call from WE. It's just that flash forward from Missing going that bit too far forward. Same with Jomong here, where he Arcane shifts in, doesn't have the flash to get to safety. And one last time, Langxing comes in just off at the right moment with the Call of the Forge God.
And that Arcane, that Mystic shot, sorry, just a hair away from hitting Kramer. If that hits with the Essence Flux already on the Ashe, like, he's gonna finish that kill. That could be a totally different fight. But the Q misses, the play goes wrong, and WE now find themselves at an equal gold score.
And honestly, WE actually have a really strong front-to-back fight. Like, if they just set up with Teacher Ma having these 2 items completed, Jomong now with this Death Stance as well, they should be fine. It's going for these picks, not relying in their team fight is what's really hurting them right now.
And one thing that's only going to get worse for WE is the fact that there's an Ornn on the side of LGD, and he's starting to give out items. They are getting real scary when it comes to these late game builds. Morgan taking a bit of damage, but he's not afraid. He's quite happy to be the one on the front line tanking some of this up. Langxing forced away from the play. We've got a minute until this Drake once again. This could be solved for WE.
Look, LGD aren't going to be scared about walking in here. Langxing has a bunch of armor and magic resist. He's got the Warmogs as well. He can take a beating, come back later for more, but actually LGD trying to see if they can get some poke down this mid lane. WE definitely poke a bit harder though.
They certainly do. Kramer takes a huge chunk from the True Shot Barrage here. It's WE just making sure to clear away this minion wave so that there can't be any kind of push down the mid lane from LGD. Jomong with a very brave arcade shift forward, but he dodges the arrow, and that means he's going to be okay off the back of this one. Missing, blocks the Call of the Forge God. Beautifully played here by WE to start this one off. Jomong jumps in once again, getting damage down onto Langxing. They're winning out this poke war.
This time Jomong has the flash. He can play more aggressive, and this is where he can churn out the damage, turn this back in WE's favor. Kramer needs to be careful though. Langxing misses the engage.
Doesn't quite get the knock-up for himself. Jomong is starting to get a little low on mana. In the meantime, Beisheng is doing this Drake. This is the Ocean Soul. And with the Hawk shot, Kramer spotted this one out immediately. Over to Baron, go LGD. They've got to make this call. They've got to make this play work. Because WE, with an Ocean Soul, are going to be difficult to fight against. The Baron getting down to half HP. Is Missing steps forward. He's got to contest. Keep your eyes out for Xie's Shockwave. That could be the game-deciding moment. That's going to be an Emperor's Divide that sets them up for victory here. Kramer goes down. So does Xie. And it's Teacher Ma to make the play at the end of the day. Jomong now onto Langxing as WE look to clean up the fight. And they finally managed to make this work.
Just in time. Ocean Soul goes over to WE. Teacher Ma with the Emperor's Divide that separates LGD, brings WE to the brink and pushes them over the line towards victory.
WE might just have done this one with a Baron in pocket. In fact, did they do the Baron? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, LGD got the Baron, but
oh,
it's
LGD
WE.
got it. Okay, I was real confused for a second there. They're going to push down the mid lane here. Still 10-15 seconds on the death time as WE, I think, can just finish this one off.
This is going to be close. This is going to be so close. You've got Xie spawning with Shockwave.
It's a hefty old minion wave that they can push on in with. Missing, stepping forward, but it's going to be Kramer caught out. That's going to be it. That's the final nail in the coffin here for game number 3. WE have held on. They've done it. They've pushed us to 4. They've just got to finish this Nexus off, get the building down, and WE hold on.
WE managed to push themselves to a first victory in this series, just about managing to take down LGD, and now they've started their path to redemption in the round 1 of the finals.
Trying to prove that they have moved on, that they don't need Xie, and Xie's doing his damnedest to make that not the case. The Orianna looking amazing. Xie looking exceptional every single game of this series, but WE, I'm not going to lie, I was really panicking for them. They lost 2 fights in a row, both fights that they had started, but they managed to play the map beautifully, separating for the mid lane so that they can get the soul.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this was so much better from WE. From the get-go, getting active, having Beishang take over with this Graves. Graves has a much better clear than Kindred. He can get out onto the map sooner, and we got to see him use that, especially with how commanding Teacher Ma was in this mid lane. A far better game from Morgan on the top side, just gave so much control. So when Beishang went down towards the bottom lane and secured that lead as well, it was all said and done.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. And teach him out as well on this Azir. Looking fantastic. Even, I mean, you mentioned already that he looked great in the laning phase, but in that last fight, great Emperor's Divide onto both carries, finishing them both off. Once Kramer and Xie are out of the fight, that's the fight done with. There was no damage left on this side of LG.
It wasn't even just that Baron fight. It was also at that earlier Dragon where we saw this massive Emperor's Divide as well, getting a heap of damage, setting up Jomong once again to carry once Teacher Ma fell, but they still got the win as WE, and well deserved in this game. Like, I finally felt like we got to see how WE actually played. Winning mid-jungle 2v2, making plays in the bottom side to set up Jomong, and then they get towards these team fights at Dragons, and they're winning. This is what we wanted from WE.
And that's the key thing, I think. The fight around the 3rd Dragon was really the moment where it was like, okay, WE have woken up. They're here to play. They're here to show us. And you can see Morgan's damage so much better than both of the previous games. It feels like Morgan was the guy that needed to step up. And it was Morgan that in that Dragon fight we're talking about really was able to have an impact.
And it was Morgan's positioning consistently that was the difference maker here, where he was able to get those flanks, as you said, towards the Dragon fights, also finding flanks at the Baron to try and set up for these plays. And even that very first Rift Herald scuffle that we had, where instead of being able to turn aggressively towards WE, deal with the members that were so low, Morgan commanded attention, drew all that firepower towards himself, and meant that with that Rift Herald, they could get away and finish out for some nice early gold in their favor.
And now that we move to game number 4 in this series, that means we're probably going to see these two teams swap sides, because now WE gets to decide which half of the map they want. And I said it right at the start of the day, I'll reiterate it now. Across the regular split, their win rate on blue side, 15-7. Pretty good. Their win rate on red side, 9-12. Well, that is now, I guess, 10-14. Still not exactly fantastic, but they can move over to the blue side themselves. And this is a team that really relies on getting that first pick.
Especially for some of these big picks, like, as we talked about, for Teacher Ma, the Galio, the Twisted Fate. Even now, the Ashe has been super highly contested here. First pick every single game. And if that's now going over the way of Jomong, this pick power that we talked about, these early power spikes that WE like to play around, become far superior.
Yeah, we get to see Jomong being able to be the engage tool for the side of WE. We get to see them be a little bit more proactive, potentially. We'll have to wait and see what happens when we do get into the draft for game number 4. I'm just glad that WE finally showed up, finally got us a game. Like, even if they lose the series now, like, at least they showed up. At least they didn't just go down without showing us a fight around the Dragons.
They got to show what they're made of. And that was the big thing here, was that for game 1 and game 2, it really didn't feel like WE were playing. It just was like, okay, cool, well, we've got this strong mid-jungle 2v2. Beishang doesn't really get involved. He's not able to turn that into anything aggressive. This time around, though, WE, as you said, they woke up. They got in, they got invested into the game early, setting themselves up for success in this mid-game. A bunch of dragons going their way, and that's how WE plays, through forcing fights at these dragons, and now we get it from WE.
So WE giving us a series here. We'll see if they can carry this momentum forward. We're going to go to game number 4. First, though, we're going to go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere.